if you understand the meaning, well, not if you understand, I want to explain the meaning of a compensatory mechanism. It doesn't mean that only those who emigrate to the territories became fans of the right, because it takes very short time between the time that you emigrate to the territories, then you become a supporter of the right, because you understand that you owe them, they gave you the chance, they really embittered your life. Now, but these are not only those who emigrated to the territories, but all the neighbors and family who are still living in Israel, and they know that they have the chance to. When they will decide to go to embetter their conditions of life, they can emigrate to the territories. It is there, but it depends on the continuation of the of a right-wing government. Here you can see what is in Israeli terms the propaganda, or not the propaganda, it's not the right word, but the agenda of the left, which say we have to pull out from the territories, we have to dismantle the settlements. Now, if you hear it, what is the understanding of evacuating the settlements to people from the lower classes, not people from the upper classes who vote for the left? For the people who are in the lower classes, the meaning of evacuating the settlements without, when you don't have an alternative of rebuilding the Israeli welfare state here, because the Israeli left doesn't suggest it. So from your point of view, pulling out of the territories, meaning destroying your chances to proper life, to suburban life. And this is the way in privatized Israel, the discourse is changing as well. And I think that when I read about what the people who supported Trump, the Rust Belt and all these things, the lower classes or the white lower class, all these things that I read in the newspapers, I think it's not the most definite analysis, but, well, it's the same in Israel. For these people, when people say about globalization and they know that the meaning that their jobs are globalized to China, this is one way of understanding the world. Then people who are relocating in the high-tech people. It's just complete different ways of understanding the reality. And if I'm going back to Israel, because of the state I don't know very much, but on Israel I know, it's clearly that the people from the lower classes, when they hear the left speaks about pulling out of the territories, they understand one thing. These elite people want to deprive us from what we have. Yeah. And this is one compensatory mechanism. The second compensatory mechanism is the compensatory mechanism of the sectors or sectorialization of the Israeli society. Let me explain what I mean by it. One very known fact of Israeli politics is we have parties like Shas. I think every one of you knows Shas. Shas is an ultra-Orthodox party that most of its supporters are Jews from Oriental origins, Faradim. And, now, this party is a new party in Israel. It was established in the 80s. Now, what is the deal that Shas suggests to its followers, to its voters? Now, Shas is aiming its messages to the Oriental lower classes and say a very simple thing. Now, what is privatization? Privatization is turning social services into commodities. commodification of social services. Now, once social services are commodified, it means that the upper classes can buy them while the lower classes can't. Now, what just said is very simple. Let's politicize you, Oriental Jews from lower class. Politicize yourself around some sort of identity politics, that is your sporadic identity, and vote for our party, and we, in our place in parliament, in the Israeli Knesset, we shall try to give you some of the services that were privatized that you can't afford now. Now, you will not get them on universal basis, because that's welfare state. You will not get them on universal basis. You will get them because we shall make all sort of political combinations and willing and dealing in the government, and will give you our own school system. We shall help you with housing. We shall give you subsidies. We shall see that the subsidies will go to families that have many, many, many children, and not to other families. And so vote for us. Now, sectorialization didn't stop with the lower classes. As a sector, very dominant sector are the Russian Jews. The Russian Jews were emigrated to Israel in the 90s. They make Aliyah and came. Now, of course, they were at the beginning in they founded housing in the more poorer sections of the towns, and they came there, and they saw the privatized Israeli school system, which is very lousy. In a minute I will come back to it. And they came from the Soviet Union, where they had good education, and that's not what we want for our kids. And we want to set up a special Russian school system for the afternoon. Somebody has to subsidize it, and we have other different problems that are unique to the Russian emigration. For example, we have many old people who are lonely. We have one-parent families, so we need little flats or some sort of arrangement for all these old people, which in privatized Israel you don't get it as a social right. So we have to use our pressure, political pressure, in order to see that they will get their flat, this education system and so on. And not only them, the Israeli Arabs as well. We are speaking very much about the radicalization of Israeli Arabs. They become more nationalistic and so on and so forth. But in fact, they are doing the most Israeli thing that one can do. They are sectorializing themselves. Now, if we are speaking that sectors are identity or politicizing lower classes around identity politics, that's what the Arabs did. And when the Israeli welfare state evaporated from the Arab sector, from the Arab villages, from the Arab townships, came the Islamic movement. And the same services that were denied by privatization were supplied by all this by the churches, which, by the way, in Israel, the best schools are the school of the churches. They have the best result in the Israeli matriculations. But they are privatized. Here in Haifa, we have the two best schools that all the Arabs are, the Italian school and the French school. The Dame de Nazareth, and which is the French one, and the Italian, the Sisters, it's called. And very good schools. Why they are far better than the public one? Because they are private, and the parents pay to the schools, and the public Arab school, like the Hebrew schools, are on very low level. I'll come to it in a minute, to the education. So these are sectors. So the right wing the right, Israeli right, is in fact a federation of sectors. There is the Likud, and there is all the satellites parties that are now what they have in common. They do have in common the fact that they are against the welfare state, because of course, if there will be a welfare state, there is no place for Shas. So Shas is supporting the dismantling of the Israeli welfare state in order to create the room, to establish the room for its own existence. Now, it's what is interesting that in the 90s, even in the 80s, Rabbi Ovadia Yosef was the spiritual leader of Shas, a very dominant rabbi, he's a very serious man, a very interesting one, both as a halachic leader and as a political leader. And in the 70s, he was dovish. He said that Israel can retreat from the territories because, the lives of Jews are much pressure than the land. Now, in the beginning, I think it was, in 2003, he retreated from this halachic ruling, and said that while it was true in the past that one should give land for peace, it's not valid anymore. Why it's not valid? He had some reason, very halachic reason. It doesn't matter here. But I can give you the more materialistic reason. The very simple reason is that most of his adherents, most of his followers, or many of his followers, founded housing in the settlements. Because they were poor people, they couldn't find housing in Israel, so they found it in the settlements. By the way, the Haredi population is third of the settlers' population. If you're going to the settlements, you will see that there are two Haredi cities in the settlements, Beitar Illit and Modilin Illit. They are the strongest of all the settlements project. So once his followers founded a solution to their housing problems in the settlements, he couldn't anymore give this halachic ruling that we can give land for peace. So you see that secularization is a dominant force in Israel. And this is a compensatory mechanism, because for the lower classes, and if you ask yourself why the Haredi population in Israel is growing so much, there isn't. Now, most people say because they have many children and so on and so forth, which is true, but this is not the answer. The very simple answer is that the Haredi population is growing up all the time because the poorer classes are going to be Haredi in order to get the services of the Haredi sectors. And if you are speaking about Israeli lower classes, which are in any case traditional, and going to the Knesset, to the shul, and they don't see any problem in having observing way of life. So the pass from being a national religious to a Haredi is not that big. By the way, the school system of Shas, which is called Ma'ayan HaChinuch HaTorani, has developed while the school system of the national religious school system in Israel was getting smaller all the time. So it is clear that people were moving from the national religious part of the Jewish society in Israel into Shas. Now, this is the second compensatory mechanism. And